Every now and then, it's nice to have something super healthy. I think minestrone is one of those things that when you eat it, you just feel all warm and healthy inside. I'm going to show you how to make a really simple minestrone at home for the days when you're feeling a little bit run down. Good thing about minestrones is the more you cook them, the better they get. Like curries, I guess. The more you cook a curry, it's always better the next day. Pan on, some oil, onion goes in, one brown onion, which we've diced. And like everything that we do that is really simple like this is, it's about extracting flavour at every possible opportunity when you're cooking things. So the first layer of flavour we're going to extract from our onion, our garlic and our chilli. So pop them in. The longer I can cook the onion, the garlic and the chilli, the more flavour I get out of the onion and the garlic and the chilli. So let's do some maths on this. If the heat is so hot that I can only cook that for 3 minutes and then I've got to add the next layer of flavour, I'm not going to get a lot of flavour out of what's in there. If the heat is a gentle medium heat and I cook it for 10 minutes, then I'm going to get more flavour out. If the heat is quite nice and low and I cook for 15, then I'll get more flavour. So it's basic maths really. The longer we can keep that sort of ticking away and developing flavour, the better our base of our soup is going to be. So I'm going to give that a good 15 minutes. Extracted as many units out of the start of my soup as I can. So now I've got about 300 grams of speck. If you've got a ham hock, there's always more flavour if you can add some bone, but most people, you're going to find it easier to get hold of some nice speck. I'm going to cook that now for another 5 to 10 minutes. Same theory as before, the longer and slower I can cook it and bring flavour out of it, the more flavour I'm going to have in my soup. You can see I've started to get some colour on the speck, but I've also brought a lot of the flavour out of the speck. So you're almost sweating the speck down like you would the vegetables, but you're slowly going to add some colour to it as well. Now our tin tomatoes. We've got 2 tins of our Ardmona crushed tomatoes. As soon as they go in, I'm going to follow that with a good pinch of salt. Same thing, I want to reduce that down, try and get as much flavour out of what's in these cans as I possibly can. So I'm going to cook that for another 5 minutes to sort of cook off the raw flavour of the tomato, but also to drive out any excess moisture and reduce that tomato down. So a good pinch of salt, give that a stir. A really good way to look at this is the more love and care you put into a soup, the more cuddles and love and care the soup is going to give you later. So if you really look after it through the cooking process, it will really look after you. Our soup is bubbling away. At this point it's a really thick, it's almost a stew more so than a soup. Now, kidney beans, as many as you want. There's 2 tins here. I'm probably going to add 1 tin's worth. And then some stock in with that as well. I've got 2 cups of chicken stock. And this will thin it out and get us more to that soup consistency. Also want to add a pinch of salt at this point. If you cook beans in a well-salted water or well-salted stock, the skin on the outside hardens and it stops them falling apart. So we don't want these beans to fall apart and become mush. You still want them to stay whole, and this will help do that. And stir through. So about a 15-minute cooking time at this point. So pasta can go in now with our diddleoni rigati. This is a 11-minute cooking pasta. But because we're not cooking it just in salted water, it's going to take a little bit longer. So it'll take the full 15 minutes. I only need probably a cup of our little pasta, and these are cool little, they're like mini versions of rigatoni. Pop them in. And our kale. I've got a large handful of roughly chopped kale here, which we'll pop in to our soup as well. I don't want to cook that into the soup. Now kale stands up to sort of a good cook, it doesn't fall apart. We'll show that in. We've now got 15 minutes. I might add a little bit of water because you can see how thick that soup is. And it's going to cook for another 15 minutes, so it's going to reduce even more. Probably half a cup of water to a cup of water. Bring that back to the boil and let it simmer for 15 minutes. You can tell just by looking at that, that that's a bowl of goodness. If you're feeling run down, if you're feeling a bit under the weather, this is the best way to get yourself back on track. That tastes so good.